Ontiru Sara, Interstellar Space, Centaurus Arm, 3760, 926, TSC. Sara Antil walked through the hall of Ontir's saints with a bowed head towards council chambers. Occasionally he would glance up to gaze upon the statues of those who had proven themselves through deed to have been sent by divine order to act in the Ontir sector. Generals who had crushed rebellions, missionaries who brought the dozens of proto-sentients from the Faniar Sars cluster into the Empire, and inquisitors who had rooted out heresy and deviancy across the stars. As he neared the ornately engraved blast doors to the chambers, he paused as his possession opened the doors and his priest chanted the hallowed hymnals for the neutral speaker. The doors slowly opened to the grand chamber, transparent materials on the ceiling to show the stars beyond, and masterfully printed murals of ancient heroes and myths adorning the walls. Pews to hold hundreds, ornately carved from the finest wood of the crown worlds, surrounded the amphitheatre. He observed Sar Onten Kalan and Ashil-Sar Sheikh Feni were seated at the head, with countless lesser speakers and laws filling the pews. With little delay he approached the central podium and withdrew the blessed papyrus from his S casing. He read the words to the council chamber. It has been brought forth by the fringe sector of Ontir that their deep space probes have discovered the largest concentration of Ashen Una in the known galaxy. Their claim is that if they were granted an expeditionary and colony fleet, they will be able to return with enough Anshul Una to support current usage of the Empire for a period of 1500 years. He paused as several brief and hushed conversations took place throughout the chamber. As the whispers ceased, he continued. It is further noted that life detection scans notice signs of a second-class sentient species and a late-stage first-class sentient species in the region. Appropriate missionary and potentially military allocations will be required for subjugation of these species. The whispers resumed with a more concerned tone. Sar Ontir Kalan requested upon submission of this report, it be specifically noted that the location of the Ashen Una is a distance of approximately 120 light-years from the nearest of these potential civilizations. However, the likely second classification civilization is the nearest. It is believed that there has been no amount of Anshul Una to reach that system through normal astronomical events, such as asteroids, thus far. The location of this deposit is approximately 60,000 light-years from the Ontir sector in the Orion Arm. If launched with Anshul Una-class vessels, the first expeditionary fleet would arrive in 34 years. If launched with Anshantua vessels, the fleet would arrive in 96 years. In addition, Sar Onten Kalan has requested first rights of exploitation to any colonized systems to go to the Ontir sector government. I graciously gift Sar Onten Kalan Sarah. The speaker of the Ontir sector rose. The Ontir sector has nothing further to speak. I humbly offer Sarah to Ashul Sar Sarek Feni. Any remaining muttering in the chamber ceased. All eyes looked upon the aged priest upon an elevated throne. Eyes milk white with age, and skin smooth grey, bereft of scaling or any other natural protections granted by youth. After several long minutes, he stood, slowly, holding his weight upon the scepter borne by Ashen Sar for ages immemorial. He took short steps to his podium, assisted by his scepter, when he finally spoke. By Pantheon of Trinity, I shall consider this approved and grant Ashen Una class vessels by divine right, on the condition exploitation rights are only granted if the Ashen Una is brought forth within 83 years. By holy decree, let it be known 4 expeditionary fleets and 2 colony fleets shall be sent, with a contingent of 1 military and 1 missionary fleet, for each of those in 4 years' time. As well, know that there shall be no fewer than 12 hive mothers of the Skrill Anakalis species among these fleets. Mars, unknown. Sol, 3782-11-16, TSC. Lloyd Hammond watched the prototype nanofac as it constructed parts for the Project O'Neill from the comfort of his bunker office. The machine, the size of a small habitation block, gently hummed over the clatter of raw material being unceremoniously dumped into its hopper. He watched through the few windows, which showed molten metal and supercooled gases flowing through piping and electrostatic containment fields. A conveyor belt moved the completed parts of sleek metal, each encasing technology which would be viewed as nothing short of arcane to the majority of mankind. Finally, the parts were sent to the ships, which would ensure discreet delivery to final assembly. As the machine worked, Lloyd heard his aide Jonas enter the room to provide his morning's updates, and turned his chair to face the short, balding man. "Mr. Hammond, the Phobos team has confirmed your suspicions regarding UNT Mylu. Their cybersecurity has been significantly improved after the secondaries incident, and several of our servers have been compromised." Lloyd considered the consequences of this for a moment before asking, "Were any of those servers related to Projects O'Neill or McKello?" "No, sir. They only contain personal files. However, one of those servers contained records for the Phobos team." That was unfortunate news. Such individuals were only useful until discovered by the opponent. Add any names they likely have evidence for to the blacklist. Anyone else, quietly dismiss. What else? "The president of the Northern American bloc has requested your meeting on Luna to be pushed forward by 7 days. To tomorrow, actually, citing concerns over the Demos workers' strike nearing riots. Has he made any indication towards concerns over anti-governmental sentiments?" "No, it seems he and his backers primarily view it as a private sector matter, with potential terrorism concerns." That elicited a brief smirk from the Pepperhead founder. "Interesting word choice. Anything else?" "Team Athena has reported our valued contributions to the news networks likely contributed to 60% of the 30% increase in company stock value over the past quarter. More importantly, the Beacon network has also reported to be at minimum completion for the end stage of Project O'Neill." Lloyd leaned back in his chair and turned back to the nanofactory on his wall display. Minimum completion might need to be enough on an accelerated timeline. "Any news on Project Vern?" Lloyd could hear the aide scroll through his dataset before answering. "Yes, Mr. Hammond. Just 30 minutes ago an update came in. Neon Vegas and Manifest Destiny are prepared to launch. The 5 others have had manufacturing delays as part of the Demos situation." "Good to know. Have an overnight bag ready for the Lunar meeting. I need to make some calls. Thank you, Jonas." Jakanri, the House of Biological Perfection, Master Study, Trappist 1, 3788-11-16 THC. Master of the House Gady reread the documents before him and looked to the chaplain advisor of the Houseless Church. "So I am to understand we will have the support of the Church for our plan against the House of Digital Enlightenment?" The advisor turned to the Master of the House, the hooded figure's face obscured by the most advanced light-bending technology known to all Jakanri. "The scriptures are clear on the matter. If your family members infiltrate the House of Digital Enlightenment and steal their property, intellectual or otherwise, or commit other acts of espionage, your proposal of usage justifies the action. Upon the announcement of Costa's accomplishment, not only shall the Houseless benefit from it, but a previously insurmountable obstacle in the path will begin to be navigated. The House of Digital Enlightenment shall be shamed for not assisting you prior." For a moment, the room was silent. The 5 other participants in the conversation pondered the words of the anomalous specialist of law and scripture, refining their portions of the plot. The lady of the house spoke next. "All you have said presumes success." There were mutters of agreement around the table as the lady awaited reply from counsel. When the chatter died after a mere 2 heartbeats, words spoken in monosyllabic cipher, the chaplain advisor spoke again. "Once more, the scriptures are clear and should reduce your concerns. It is true that such actions are generally inadvisable if you are unsure of how correct you are with your assumptions of how well you could use what you stole. It is also inadvisable if you believe that the house in question is more cunning than you are. However, there is a simple way to avoid such unfortunate circumstances. You must simply be right and not fail." The room fell to silence for many minutes. None spoke. None even moved. As if previously coordinated, the 6 Jakanri stood and exited the room in silence.